if the secrets of time weren't just held by the Maya? Imagine cultures thousands of years ago. No telescopes, no computers, no modern tech. Predicting seasons, tracking the sky, and organizing entire societies around celestial rhythms with astonishing accuracy. They left behind calendars so advanced they still force us to rethink what ancient intelligence really looked like. And to understand why these calendars matter, we have to start with the shadow that still hangs over them, 2012. Back then, the so-called Mayan apocalypse went global. Headlines, movies, panic, countdowns. People were convinced the end was coming. But here's the truth. The Mayan long count wasn't a doomsday timer. It's a system for counting long stretches of time in cycles. The end of a cycle wasn't the end of the world. More like a reset, a rollover, a new chapter. That 2012 obsession did something else, too. It distracted us from the bigger story. The Maya weren't alone. Across the world, civilizations built calendars as tools for survival, farming, religion, and power. So let's go beyond Mesoamerica and uncover the forgotten timekeepers. Our first stop is the Sahara, where timekeeping may have started earlier than most people realize. In southern Egypt, archaeologists discovered a mysterious place called Nabta Playa. And out there, in what looks like empty desert today, are megalithic stone arrangements that may align with the summer solstice. Think about what that means. If you can mark the solstice, you can predict seasonal shifts. And in a region where rain decides everything, that knowledge isn't just impressive, it's life-saving. Now jump to the Nile, to ancient Egypt. For Egyptians, the calendar wasn't just dates on a page. It was survival on a schedule. The Nile's flood cycle shaped everything: food, labor, and stability. And the sky helped them track it. One of their most important signals was the heliacal rising of Sirius, when the star first appears in the dawn sky after being hidden. That event lined up closely with the timing of the flood season and became deeply connected to their new year. Next, we moved to China, where calendars were tied not only to farming, but to political legitimacy. The Chinese system is lunisolar. Months follow the moon, but the year is adjusted to stay aligned with the seasons. And they developed a powerful seasonal framework called the 24 solar terms, 24 markers based on the sun's motion across the year. It's essentially a precision seasonal guide for planting and harvesting, built from long-term observation, passed down across generations. Here's the wild part. These calendars weren't just time trackers. They were cosmic maps. If you can pinpoint solstices and equinoxes, you can plan agriculture. If you can anticipate seasonal changes, you can store resources and organize labor. And if you can claim you understand the sky, then power looks divine. That's why calendars often sit at the exact intersection of astronomy, religion, and government. And it goes even deeper when you consider eclipses. In many ancient societies, eclipses weren't just sky events, they were omens. So if priests or rulers could predict when something like that might happen, it would make them look chosen. It could calm panic. It could control crowds. It could turn fear into authority. Now let's talk about one of the most mind-blowing discoveries ever made. Something that feels almost impossible for its time. The Antikythera Mechanism. This ancient Greek device, found in a shipwreck, is a complex geared machine designed to model celestial cycles. It could track astronomical positions and even predict eclipses using known repeating patterns. In other words, this wasn't superstition. This was engineering, built 2,000 years ago. Then there's another mystery, far across the ocean in Peru, the Nazca Lines. These enormous geoglyphs, shapes and lines carved into the desert, have sparked debates for decades. Some researchers argue that certain lines align with solar or stellar points, possibly functioning as calendar markers. Others caution that with so many lines pointing in so many directions, some alignments could happen by chance. The real story is the debate itself, how difficult it is to prove a calendar function, and how careful we have to be when interpreting ancient evidence. And finally, we come to North America, where ancient timekeeping was also written into the landscape. At Cahokia, one of the largest pre-Columbian urban centers north of Mexico, archaeologists identified a circle of wooden posts known as Woodhenge. Many interpret it as a solar calendar, used to track seasonal timing, helping guide ceremonies, agriculture, and communal planning. So what do all these places have in common? They prove something huge. The people who built these calendars weren't primitive. They were systematic. They were experimental. They were careful observers of patterns. And they were often deeply mathematical, because their survival depended on being in sync with nature. And there's a modern lesson here too. Sustainable living isn't new. A lot of these calendars were, at their core, systems for living in rhythm with reality. Food cycles, water cycles, climate cycles, and seasonal change. Long before the modern world had apps and forecasts, people were reading the sky like a clock and building civilization around it. So the next time someone says ancient calendars were just superstition, remember this. They were science, survival, and power, written in sunlight and stone. If you want a part 2, I'll cover the most shocking calendar predictions, the biggest myths people still repeat, and the hidden time systems that don't get talked about enough. Comment calendars and tell me which civilization you want next.